Well, hello students of MSel 600. The purpose of this video is the syllabus video. Congratulations, you've almost made to the finish line for your master's degree. The whole point of this course, if you remember nothing else, is to write your capstone assignment. This is your final paper. This is the course where, whether you're in the healthcare management program or the executive leadership program, you're going to bring everything together into one final paper. Since this is a degree that has a large practitioner focus, i.e. Working professionals, I wanted you guys to have the opportunity to write a capstone paper that enables you to incorporate parts of your working professional lives and blend that with theory. So to look a little different than a traditional thesis, which is very much quantitative or qualitative data analysis, and may even be a little bit divorced from practice. So I think you will find this to be a very interesting and useful assignment. So what I'm going to do in this video is first I'm going to go through the syllabus and tell you everything to expect in this course. And then what we'll do is go through the Canvas shell so you know where everything is. All right, let me go ahead and do screen share here. Okay, there we go. So here is the syllabus. I know many of you are remote, so where my office is not relevant, but I am in PJ 119, ground floor. Here's my email. I think all of you have it. This is an online class. And if you need any help throughout this course, just give me a call, email me, whatever. Online class through Canvas, and there are no formal prerequisites, but technically you need to have almost finished your MSel, Master of Science in Executive Leadership, or Healthcare Management Master's. So again, what I'm going to ask you to do in this course is go ahead and get a paper together, and then before you complete this course, you will submit it to a journal. Now, I know that a lot of you are panicking. It doesn't have to be accepted in the journal. You just have to send it out. A large part of writing, academic and otherwise, is about being rejected and actually making revisions to your paper. So, but this will give give you the encouragement to at least submit something out and how to actually submit it before you leave. If you choose to do the revisions and move it towards publication, that's totally on. I encourage it though, certainly. So this course is going to engage you in what we call the plus zone challenge thinking. Those of you who had me before are familiar with this term. But you're going to take your own personal and professional experiences and apply them or use them to illustrate some sort of an aspect of theory. And this is really important because as executives, you have to be able to articulate not only what you're doing, but also make sure that your doctrine and your actions reflect state-of-the-art knowledge that's expected of all master's degree holders. So this is mostly an individual course, although you can work with me as your professor. But by the end of this course, you will know how to analyze peer-reviewed research and write concise summaries of research. You'll know how to use autoethnography to write a paper. You'll know how to write a literature review and show an understanding of at least two different theoretical perspectives of your choice. You'll be able to articulate research gaps, and you'll be able to bridge personal experience. And so here's the schedule. Now, keep in mind, I know that some of you are involuntarily disenrolled from the course. For the first round of readings, I'm going to go ahead and give you an extension of a week. So today is September 1st. We'll go ahead and give you an extension until next Sunday. So you won't have any assignments due August 28th, I guess it was, but you'll have assignments due September 7th. So this is the playlist that we're making now, which is a syllabus video. For the first week of course, you're going to learn about the autoethnographic methodology. Now, while you're learning about the method, what is autoethnography, you're also going to be exposed to a variety of theories that you can then use to write your own thesis or your own capstone project, rather. So in other words, I'm teaching you the methods first, because while learning about methods, you're going to be learning about theories, and you're going to see what you like and don't like. I have picked enough theories and enough readings in this course that you will find something that you do like. Not every reading will excite you, but as long as you find one or two readings, then I think we've done a pretty good job. And by the way, you're going to be learning about autoethnography in the meantime. I'm a firm believer that in order to be able to be a good writer, you need to be exposed to a lot of different readings. And all of these chapters that I've given you are examples of what your final project can actually look like. So you're learning to do by actually doing. So the first readings are, you've got an autoethnography on writing an autoethnography. In other words, I wrote a paper about writing a paper, and I think that'll kind of orient you. And that paper is about me writing the second paper with Rachel Brandon Hopper. It's a loose depiction of this paper writing process, and that's greenwashing and a heterotopia. This is a really cool paper about a student who thought that the internship where she worked was pretty hypocritical because it was about sustaining the environment, except for the fact that they were doing a lot of environmental damage to sustain the environment. I think you'll find it very amusing, the story. The third paper is one that I co-wrote with one of my undergrads. She was only 18 when she wrote this paper with me, but it's by Miriam Abisoyi, who's also a fifth student. And we're going to look at markets as spaces and women's solidarity. And this is a really cool paper about women entrepreneurs in Nigeria, specifically in clothing markets, and how the market is not really a physical place, but it's a mentality, it's a space. And you'll notice there's a lot on heterotopias throughout this course. This one's on heterotopia. This is on heterotopia. Heterotopia as a kind of a space. And I think that'll be pretty cool. You've got a few deliverables for this week, and there's just some reflections on each article. And what I'm trying to do with these reflections is teach you how to summarize articles very quickly so that you can refer to them and then use them to build up your own research. Then we're going to do a little bit more autoethnographic work. This was also a paper written by one of my undergrads. He was also 18 when he wrote it. He owned a bar while he was an undergraduate student, and there was a lot of funny things that happened. This paper will not look so much at heterotopias like the other two, but they'll look at theories of social capital, which is really important. And everything that could have gone wrong in that bar did. I mean, they burned the bar down. I mean, all sorts of crazy things happened. It's pretty neat. This is a paper by Joe Lee. And you probably notice a lot of these articles are from a book that I edited. This is by Joe Lee. It's looking at kind of some hypocrisy that occurred in one of Canada's largest entrepreneurship centers. It's also autoethnographic in nature. And there's a pretty interesting commentary on corporate entrepreneurship here that I think many of you will find useful. Got a paper that I co-wrote with one of my former master's students, looking at basically the differences in perceptions and usage of Airbnb in the former Soviet Union. Also a pretty interesting paper. And theoretically, this looks at the concept of the extended self. Once again, you got some deliverables. So now after you've finished the first couple of weeks, you'll know enough about autoethnography that you can start writing your method section. But then what we're going to do is teach you to choose a setting to write about. And so I've got some other papers that you're going to look at to hopefully give you a better idea of some different potential settings. Got another paper written by my friend Oscar Mendez, and this particular paper looks at the difficulties of trying to run an entrepreneurship center in Mexico. And then we have a really neat paper written by my former dean, Paul Mason, who's an economist, and this looks at a forensic economist, and it's an interesting case about a prison guard that was transitioning from male to female, and he was terminated from employment wrongfully. So there was a lawsuit, and it was looking at, how do you calculate the lifetime earnings for a prison guard transitioning from male to female. Once again, you've got some reflections to do on these two articles. You will propose your empirical setting, and that'll be just a conversation with me, make sure you're on the right track. And then you'll also continue to work on your method section, but the method section, the draft of it, is actually due on Canvas September 14th. Okay, a draft. And I've got rubrics in there. But again, as you're struggling with some of these rubrics, which I'll show you the rubrics in a moment, remember, these are autoethnographic papers, and you can use these as a basis for writing your own paper. It's full of examples. You have plenty of examples to go by. Then we're going to do some more work on the empirical section, some more ideas for an empirical section. We've got this interesting paper by Mike Mikeworth, looking at how God spoke to him directly and convinced him to become an entrepreneur. You have a paper by a former Fisk undergrad, Abraham Mian, and his mother, Claudia. Abraham wrote this, I think he was a junior or senior. And this is looking at Latin American family businesses. It's quite interesting. So again, you notice you're getting fewer and fewer papers. You've got a couple more reflections, and then you've got your draft of your empirical section, which will be due September 21st. Then we start writing the literature review. The literature review is your overview of your theory. What theories are used? So empirical setting is what you're actually trying to study, the places, the people, the facts. The literature review is where you summarize the theories for the things that you are studying. So at this point, you're going to go to Google Scholar and you are going to try to figure out what are the classics in the theory that you've chosen. If you get stuck on this, of course I can help you. And then also what you'll do is try to summarize those 4 articles as kind of the genesis of your literature review. Your deliverables for the week, you'll have your draft of your literature review. That if you have trouble, you can ask me for help. You have your refinements of your empirical section. So I'll give you some feedback on that empirical section, and then refinements on your method section based on the feedback that I've given you. Then you move into continuing to write the literature review. Then you'll look at 4 recent articles, i.e. anything published after 2020 on the theory of your choice. And you'll integrate now all of the classics, those 4 classical articles, and then the 4 more recent articles into the draft of the literature review, which you will turn in by October 1st. So you get to pick. Then we'll start writing the discussion and the conclusion of your paper, and also doing any refinements that you have. No readings for the week, but you will have a draft of the discussion and conclusion of your paper. And again, all of the articles I've given you have examples of the discussion and the conclusion. The discussion is kind of like the theoretical conclusion, and the conclusion is where you actually summarize what you discussed in the paper, and you're kind of wrapping up what you're saying. So the discussion is kind of like, okay, now we talked about all this cool stuff. And the beginning of this paper, we kind of expressed, hey, we don't really know much about this particular theory. And now we know something brand new, and isn't that cool? That's what you put in the discussion paper. The conclusion is where you wrap up everything. You'll say, well, this was our specific empirical setting. We overviewed a couple of different theories. We found this particular conclusion of this literature. And this is an interesting paper because it contributes to a wide variety of literature. And then you normally have some sort of a nice final parting comment at the end. But it's mostly a summary of the paper and what you've done as a conclusion. You have fall break, so you continue to catch up. No readings for the week. Once again, just keep editing. Week of October 20th, you will write the abstract, the keywords, and the introduction. And of course, the introduction is where you introduce your research question, you summarize the paper, your research question, i.e. your thesis. No readings for this week, but you will have to draft the introduction, the abstract, and the keywords, and you'll want to turn that in on Canvas. Again, I've got the rubric on Canvas. Based on all the work you've done, I'll give you all have some revisions to do. So just continue revising. November 3rd will be your defense week. I'll help you get your committees together. You'll have your defense presentation, and your slides are due November 2nd, to the committee in advance of your defense. Your committee will give you some feedback right there on the spot. You'll use that feedback to then revise your paper. So no readings for the week, but continue working on your revisions for your paper. You will turn in that paper on November 9th. We'll give you some feedback, and then you need to go ahead and submit it to the journal of your choice, which that submission will be due on November 16th. November 24th, fall break. There's no final exam, so if you finish your capstone, you're just going to chill out. This is an online class, so it's a lot of the classroom protocol we won't worry about too much. It's up to you to know adding and dropping policies at FISC. And here's your assignments. So in contrast to a conventional thesis class where we just kind of throw you in the deep end and have you, try to figure it out, we have assignments along the way as an opportunity to get you some feedback. So you've got to do a draft method section, which is worth 5 points. Draft lit review worth 5 points. Draft empirical section worth 5 points. Draft intro, keywords, and abstract worth 2.5 points. Draft discussion and conclusion for 2.5 points. Again, the rubrics are all on Canvas. You got your final paper, which is worth 20 points. Proof of submission worth 5. You've got your oral presentation, your defense, which is worth 10 points. And then you need to at least check in with me 5 times throughout the semester, and that's worth 3 points each. And then you've got 10 article reflections. Each one is worth 3 points. Of course, if you have trouble with writing, please see the Writing Center, make an appointment. You can do that online. That puts you at 100 points. So let's go ahead and we're going to stop this screen share, and we are going to shift over here to the Canvas course. I don't know if I'm sharing this or not, so let me stop that. Okay, here we go. So there's a Canvas page where everything you need is here. You've got your fall syllabus right here. All the readings are right here at the top. If it says Business Storytelling Encyclopedia and Entrepreneurship, there's the book right there. The paper I wrote with Miriam. You've also got the paper that I wrote with Rachel Brandon Hopper, and you have the autoethnography on autoethnography. And I'm looking here, I just realized I did not upload Abraham Meon's chapter. I'll upload that as soon as I finish with this video. Here's where all your reflections are. So you can click here, and you can already see the assignment. Here's where you submit your draft methodology section. I mean, here's basically where you submit your stuff. It should be pretty straightforward. I'll also upload a video up here at the top about how to use Google Scholar and some of that stuff so that you can watch that as well. Other than that, though, I think you'll find this to be an enjoyable course. And if you're struggling, come see me. Of course, I'll help you. My goal is to help you finish, not try to hold you back. So do keep me posted on your progress, and I'm looking forward to working with you this semester.